She pulled the gun from her purse and placed it on the kitchen table just as the doorbell rang. Her heart stopped. Her hands dry, steady. Her eyes, no tears, no fear. Only icy resolve, honed by years of humiliation. "Come down, Mom," she said, not turning around. "He's here." A dull thud echoed from upstairs, the sound of a cane on wood. Slowly, an elderly woman descended the stairs, gray hair pulled back in a simple scrunchie, wearing a cotton robe and slippers. Her left leg ended just below the knee, an amputation brought on by diabetes, worsened after the incident 3 years prior. But her gaze remained as sharp as a young eagle's. "You sure?" the woman asked quietly. "Absolutely." The doorbell rang again, more insistent this time. Impatient. Just like always. She peered through the peephole and saw his smile. That same smug, condescending grin, as if he knew they'd let him in. As if he'd already been forgiven. As if he were still the beloved son. She took a deep breath, opened the door, and said, "Happy birthday, Daniel." Daniel Stanton loved celebrating his birthday with family. Not because he valued closeness, but because, on this day, he felt like the center of the universe. Especially now that everything had gone exactly his way. He was 42. Tall, fit, with a neatly trimmed beard and expensive watch on his wrist, he looked like a man life had smiled upon. And in many ways, it had. He owned a house in the Phoenix suburbs, a lawyer wife, 2 kids in private school, and a medical equipment business that netted him over $100,000 a year in pure profit. But behind the facade of success lay a crack he'd long tried to ignore. His mother and sister hadn't spoken to him in 3 years. He chalked it up to a temporary misunderstanding. "They're upset, it'll pass," he'd told his wife. "It's just emotions. Women." But today, on his birthday, he decided to fix it. Show up in person. Bring a cake from Sweet Delights. Offer apologies. Hug them. Restore everything to how it used to be. Because he was a good son. And good sons deserve forgiveness. He didn't know that behind that door waited not cake, but truth. Everything he'd tried to bury. "Come in," Lisa said, stepping aside. He entered, scanning the room with his usual confidence. The house looked well kept. Fresh paint on the walls, flowers on the windowsill, the scent of cinnamon in the air. But something was missing. Warmth. "Where's Mom?" he asked, removing his sunglasses. "Upstairs. Coming down." He set the cake box on the table and saw the gun. He froze. "What's this?" he asked, forcing a laugh, though his voice already trembled. "Your gift," Lisa replied. "Sit down." He didn't. He took a slow step back toward the door. "I'm not staying if this is some kind of performance. I came here with good intentions, Liz." "You came because you need everyone to believe you're innocent," she said, voice low and steady. "Sit." Now. There was something new in her eyes. Not anger. Not tears. But calm, almost surgical clarity. For the first time in years, he felt fear. He sat. His mother entered the kitchen, leaning on her cane. Daniel jumped up. "Mom." "Hey. Happy birthday." "Wait, no, it's my birthday, but I meant. Happy birthday to me? I just." "Hey." She walked silently to the table, picked up the gun, and placed it on her lap. "Do you know why you're here, Daniel?" she asked. "No. I just wanted. I thought." "Are you still mad about the house?" "No," Lisa said. "We're mad about you." 3 years earlier, the entire Stanton family had gathered for Christmas. The house in Utah, the one Eleanor Stanton had loved her whole life, was the heart of it all. Built by her husband, the children's father, it was where Daniel and Lisa had grown up, where their dad had died, and where Eleanor had planned to spend her final days. But Daniel had other plans. "Mom, you can't live alone. You're 72. What if you fall? What if there's a fire?" he'd said, hugging her. "Better to sell the house and move into an assisted living apartment. I'll take care of you." Eleanor resisted. But Daniel was relentless. He hired a realtor, signed documents on her behalf. Mom was too tired. I helped, and found a buyer, his business partner, who agreed to pay a fair price. The house sold for $320,000. Its real market value? $580,000. But Daniel called it a rush sale. Said otherwise no one would buy. From the proceeds, he gave his mother $60,000 for her new life. The rest, he claimed, was invested for her benefit. Eleanor moved into a nursing home near Phoenix. Not an apartment. Not a sun-drenched retirement community. A nursing home, where pills replaced care and dinner was served at 5 p.m. Lisa was shattered. She called her brother, begged for answers. He brushed her off. Mom's old, Liz. She doesn't understand what's best for her. But it wasn't just about the house. Remember when Mom broke her leg? Lisa asked. Daniel frowned. Yeah, she fell in the bathroom. Poor lighting. She fell because they kicked her out of the facility you put her in, Eleanor said. I asked you to let me stay with you for just a couple of weeks while I looked for something better. You said no room. The kids are sick. They were sick, he snapped. Molly had bronchitis. You didn't answer 32 of my calls, Eleanor said softly. I slept on a bus stop bench for 2 days. Then a shelter. That's where I fell. He blinked. For the first time, embarrassed. I didn't know. You knew, Lisa said. She opened her laptop, tapped a key. A video began to play. On screen, Daniel, behind the wheel of his BMW on the phone. His voice clear. Yeah, the old lady's calling again. Says she's on the street. Let her learn to beg. I don't care. Just don't let her come here. Molly's already stressed about school. He leapt to his feet. Where'd you get that? My source has a conscience, Lisa said. Your mechanic recorded it while fixing your car. Gave it to me. Daniel paled. That's taken out of context. No, Eleanor said. That's you. Lisa hadn't always been like this. Once, she laughed at her brother's jokes, believed his promises, even defended him to their mother. But everything changed the day she saw her mother, emaciated, bruised from IVs, eyes hollow, in that godforsaken nursing home. She took her home. Sold her car, rented an apartment, took on 2 jobs, accountant by day, cleaner by night. Slept 3 hours a night. But her mother was home. And Daniel? He sent flowers for her birthday. With a card, "You're doing great, sis." She burned the card. From that day on, she gathered evidence. Not for court, for truth. So one day, he'd have to face who he'd become. She tracked down old receipts, contracts, messages. Discovered the business partner was his cousin. That the house sold for 1/3 of its worth. That the money vanished into investments, his own stock market gambles. She didn't want revenge through lawyers. She knew he'd find loopholes, attorneys, witnesses who didn't remember. She wanted him to understand. To feel what it's like to be betrayed by those who love you most. And so, his birthday. Coincidentally, the anniversary of their father's death. Daniel hadn't even remembered. But Lisa did. Why are you doing this? He asked, voice shaking. You know I didn't mean. I thought. You thought we were weak, Lisa said. That we'd stay silent. That we'd be grateful for your generosity. She walked to the cupboard and pulled out a box, not the cake. Another one. This is your real gift. She opened it. Inside, a folder of documents. Everything's here. Copies of contracts. Realtor emails. Audio recordings. Neighbor statements who saw Mom sleeping on the street. Forged checks. Even a copy of your offshore bank transfer. He stared at the folder like it was a bomb. What do you want? Nothing, Lisa said. I've already gotten what I needed. Will you post this online? No. Will you sue me? No. He didn't understand. In his world, revenge meant money, reputation, prison. But here, only silence. Then, why? Eleanor stood. Walked to him. Placed her hand on his cheek, the way she had when he was a child. I want you to know I loved you. Until the very day you sold my home without asking. Until the moment I begged for help and you didn't answer. She lowered her hand. Now, I don't love you. And that is your real punishment. To live knowing your mother stopped loving you. Forever. He trembled. Tears filled his eyes. Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought I was doing the right thing. You knew, Lisa said. You just chose to pretend you didn't. He left 10 minutes later. Said nothing. Left the cake on the table. Forgot his car keys. Lisa found them on the hallway floor. She didn't post the files online. Didn't sue. She simply mailed the folder to his wife with a note. You deserve to know who you're married to. A week later, Daniel called. His voice was quiet, broken. Molly filed for divorce. The kids won't talk to me. My business, my partner's pulled out. I'm sorry, Lisa said. And she meant it. Not for him, for what it took to get here. What should I do? He whispered. Start with an apology, she said. Not with words. With actions. He was silent. I can return the money. Money won't give Mom her leg back, Lisa said. Or her house. But you can start small. Real help. No conditions. No Instagram photos. Just help. A year passed. Daniel never returned to his old life. His business collapsed. He rents an apartment in a neighboring town. Works at an appliance store. But every Sunday, he visits his mother. Brings groceries. Mops floors. Fixes the faucet. Doesn't talk about himself. Just listens. Eleanor hasn't forgiven him. But she no longer looks through him. And Lisa? She wrote a book. Not about revenge, but about how families can be destroyed not by war or illness, but by simple greed disguised as care. The book became a bestseller. And the gun? It was a $45 airsoft pistol from eBay. But Daniel never knew that. And maybe that's what saved him. Because real revenge isn't about pain. It's about awakening.